And oops, hang on. Good Lord. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the new episode of Have you seen this? I was gonna say we need to talk about it. It's Have You Seen This? And I'm Frank. Just to let you guys know, Sarah is showing up a little bit late, so I don't know when she's gonna show up. Um, I'm hoping 6:15, something like that. So before she gets here, I want to do some updates and whatnot. So yesterday, I was considering, not even yesterday, it was a Friday. Friday, I was considering, should I do a live stream? Because I bought all these cool new items. Just to show you some examples, I bought the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary. What do you call it? Tracker and Explorer. Oh, Track and Explorer. That's hilarious. So they don't get sued by Hasbro. But yeah, that's a Track and Explorer vehicle. I got this. What else did I get? I also got this awesome looking Flash figure. And then I also got this. This is a Flash Supergirl figure. And I got this Jurassic Park 30th anniversary for 1993. This classic 93 logo is almost giving me hope that they do like a classic 97 thing. That would be really cool. Let's see, what other things do I have? I also have this Shawn Michaels Superstars. That's really cool. And then I have this Krang figure, this retro Krang figure. And I also have this. This is the Dr. Alan Grant for the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. Well, yeah, I was considering doing a live stream on Saturday night, but I realized that it would probably be more special to save it for the Guardians of the Galaxy unboxing, because if it's going to be called a Guardians of the Galaxy unboxing spectacular extravaganza, then it should be a huge extravaganza. So I'm going to save all these things for the unboxing next Sunday, I should say. June 4th will be the Guardians of the Galaxy unboxing. And I can see here from the crowd that no one has showed up yet. So if there's anybody out there, leave a comment or whatnot, because right now I'm going to go to the Facebook and share the link. It is Memorial Day weekend, so possibly, maybe there's like nobody out there, but you never know. You never know. Oh, and that just shared immediately. Okay, so I shared it on the Facebook, and there's that. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I thought that was going to take me a little bit longer to introduce all that stuff and that idea, but not really. But I'm excited about this. As you can see here, this is the retro looking T-Rex. This is similar to the one that they released in 1993. You have to open the mouth manually, but it's cool because it's got a button back here that makes sound effects. And that's pretty neat. So the cool feature about this is that you can put some toys in his mouth, and then you can take it out of his stomach. So it looks like he ate your figure, but it's safe and sound inside his stomach. So there is that. I also like the retro packaging, because on the back here it looks exactly like the Kenner retro stuff, as you can see here. But yeah, that's really neat. So yeah, I decided to open those next Saturday. I am excited about this. The reason why I brought this Kang figure, or is it Krang? I think it's Krang. Yep, Krang. I bought this Krang figure as a reference to my friend's brother. What do you call it? Zachary. My friend Anthony has a brother named Zachary, and for years, I think at least since 2017, I've made inside jokes about Krang on Twitter. So that's great. And then what else we have here? Oh yeah. So I've been on the lookout for these Flash figures, and the hardest one to find so far is the Michael Keaton Batman. I have not been able to find that yet. And the thing that really bummed me out, and I should have did research before I started buying all these singly, is that they do sell a bundle on the McFarlane.com website. But the problem is that I've have these already, so I can't have the bundle because I've already have 3 figures out of like 5. Because I think there's 2 Flashes, the Supergirl, the Dark Flash, and then Michael Keaton. And since I already have 3 out of the 5, I'm like, oh, damn, I should have done research and whatnot. Also, the reason why I decided not to do an unboxing on yesterday, I should say, on Saturday yesterday, is because I have more figures showing up on Tuesday this week, and they go over here. Oops, there it is. Over here on my Green Lantern shelf, or right here. It'll be retro figures that'll go right there. So that's exciting as well. So I'm finally going to be able to set up some of these blank shelves because there's a blank shelf over here. That's going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to print out a background, design a background, and have all the Guardians in there. That's going to be really cool and swell. And then over here will be nostalgia shelf. So it'll be all these superheroes and action figures that are inspired by my childhood. Like that right there, that is Kyle Renner. He was one of my first comic books I ever owned. He came in a Green Lantern comic book. I was like, ooh, this is Kyle Renner. So that figure right there represents that. I'm also going to be getting a Catwoman who looks like one of the first comic books I ever got. Because I think one of the first comic books I ever got was like Incredible Hulk, Catwoman, Batman, and maybe even the Green Lantern one. Those are like my earliest comic book memories. So that will be going on the shelf right over there. So this week, me and Sarah will be discussing the movies STEPMOM and Land Before Time. But I don't really want to get into that, but I did take notes. I took notes in my handy dandy new notebook that I bought this weekend, where I was like, I could use this for my notes and measurements and all that for ideas, like the David Lynch thing, my ideas. I'm also working on that. What else am I working on? What else? We got Spider-Man coming up, and then this week is graduations are coming up. So that's also exciting as well. So this Friday, I'll be doing an event, setting up the audio, doing a photo booth, and taking photos at this event. So that should be a lot of fun. I see we have a viewer here. Who is that? If you can leave a comment, let me know. Oh, we got 2 viewers now. That's great. That's great. Who are you guys? Leave a comment. Tell me who you are and if you have any questions. Because right now, we're waiting on Sarah. She's a little bit late today. She said 6:30, but I'm like, if you show up a little bit sooner, 6:15, 6:20, that's great. But right now, we're just waiting on her, and she'll be here. I'll be a little worried if it's like 6:40. I'll be like, pull the plug. But right now, I can feel like I could do this. I can do this. I can win this. We're fine. We're perfectly fine. We can do this. So, also, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about. Oops. Uh-oh. Got 2 messages here. Ronnie's probably not. Be on in 5. She said she'll be on in 5 minutes. We got Sarah. She's on her way. She's on her way right now. That's great. Let's get some music prepped up. Oh, we can't even hear the music. That's hilarious. I guess I have to prep it on my phone sort of when she gets here. So I have to mark it up and get ready for when she gets here. Oh my God, there was a funny video on Instagram. So I just got a notification from it. So there's like a toy collector, or I should say like a yard sale guy or a secondhand guy. He looks up these deals at yard sales. And like, oh, look at this. I bought this. And it was actually, a lot more expensive than you think it is. But he was at this yard sale and this guy had all these Black Series from like 2015, 2016, and a little bit of 2017. So it was in the like dark ages of the Star Wars Black Series. And the guy offered like you could buy them for like $100. But meanwhile, none of those figures are like worth it. They're all like trash. All those figures were trash. It just cracked me up at this yard sale because like a lot of you could tell that he probably bought them on like Force Friday. Force Friday is a thing where Hasbro would have like an event like, oh my God, go to the store, buy all the Star Wars toys. You could tell that guy was probably thinking that, but none of those toys are like really worth anything. It's like the early version of Rey, which is terrible. It's the Poe Dameron with the awful face scan because he looks like it's not a pretty picture. I don't like doing it. He looks like that. It's really awful. And then the other figures was like a character that was deleted from the movie. I forgot his name, but there was a character from the movie, an alien, that was just like, ugh, cut from the movie. And he had all those figures. And I think he had some Rogue One too, like Rogue One figures, where it's like none of those are worth anything because all those Rogue One figures have been remade with better face scans and prints. So it's like, all those figures are ass. Don't pick them up. Don't buy them. Luckily, he didn't buy them. What he did buy was probably a lot more money than those figures. He bought a Spider-Man 3 figure, Venom, and that's probably worth more than any of those Star Wars toys because the Star Wars toys suck. Oh my God. Unless it's a Stormtrooper, because I think people like Stormtroopers, and since those are so like rare and in between and like different variants, I think the Stormtroopers are a little bit more than the human characters, if I recall. What's the 2001 theme? There we go. See if I can get it ready and marked up for when she gets here. I got to check off my headphones though for this because I need the headphones for the podcast because the podcast it helps me listen to her without affecting my microphone. Because there would be an echo if she was here and be like, "Oh no, there's an echo. Can't deal with that." Hang on, let's find it. Let's get it marked up. Oh, it's so close. Okay, I got it all marked up. It's all ready. It's all set. So whenever she comes on, I got the music prepped up. Hopefully, Facebook won't block me. You're unable to live stream for the next 21 hours because you use copyrighted music. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All righty. Going to my Twitter. Oh my God. Okay, before she gets on, funny story, guys. Funny story. So on Twitter, there's like this thread that's going on there. Like you talk about the celebrity that's been the friendliest to you, and you talk about the celebrity that's been the rudest to you. So on mine, I said the most friendliest celebrity I've ever met because a lot of them are friendly. A lot of celebrities I've met have been friendly, but the friendliest that has stuck in my mind is Leah Thompson because I remember going to her signature thing telling her it was so great to meet her and you know she's so beautiful and all that. She smiled and acknowledged me, told me she was great to have a fan, and then I did the Q&A because I was right after her signature thing. She noticed me in the audience because when I asked my question, she noticed me and still gave me an answer. And then later on that same day, I got a photo off and she was so excited to see me again. So it's like she knows, like, this guy is a hardcore fan of Back to the Future. And so that's exciting. So she represents a friendly celebrity. Here we go. Oh my God, I got it. Here we go. I just got the notification. Let's see. Let me get everything all prepped up before she gets on. This is exciting. Hang on. I gotta find it. So I gotta read the intro. I gotta read the intro because she just showed up. Oh dang. She doesn't even have an intro written there. Dang it. But anyway, it's the one, the only co-host of the show. Have you seen this? Today, we're talking about Stepmom and Land Before Time. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Miller. Oh my gosh. That's perfect.
That was a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So how have you been? I've been trying to, kill some air and whatnot.
Thank you for killing the time. I had a birthday party at a vineyard or a brewery today that turned out to be over an hour away. I was like,
okay.
I didn't plan this well.
That's fun. That's
We're
cool.
here.
That's cool.
Great.
Yes, we're here. We're here. We're great. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. She's kind of late because it's Memorial Day weekend. So this is like the big weekend event of the
Totally.
summer. Yes.
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 And now my cat is crying to get in, so I'll just save everybody that. Um, and I just got back from it. I took a cruise to Mexico last week, so I just got back last night. That was
That's so fun. I did a couple cruises in my lifetime. They do like movie trivia nights and stuff like that. And oh my gosh, I think I won every single one because I had like 3 or 4 of them throughout the weekend. And I won all of them, except there was this one that came really close. It was like me and this dude, like this big guy. And it was a tie, and they had a tiebreaker question. And I think we both got it. So they had another tiebreaker question. And the next second one was like, okay, whoever answers this first. And it was like, what movie does someone say Great Scott? And I was like, Back to the Future, like, no issue, no problem. Back to the Future.
uh-huh.
And the guy didn't, it was like, he couldn't believe that he lost. It was wonderful. And they're like,
love it. You totally were a movie trivia hustler. You hustled everybody on that
yes.
cruise.
Yes. If I really hustled, I would have also gotten their backup question because they're like, we would have also accepted Rocky Horror. I was like, damn.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. And we have a cat.
We have a
What's the
guest.
cat's name?
We have a guest. His name is Sheldon.
Sheldon.
He's
Yes.
here for the day.
That's great. That's great. So, without further ado, let's start with these movies. And going by the rules I've learned from Edgar Wright and Quentin Tarantino, we're going to go with the longest movie first, which is Stepmom.
Also, before we start, I just want to say,
Yes.
like, collectively, what were we thinking? These are both very sad movies.
Yes, they're sad. And they both have that scene that where the kid has to be explained that I'll always be with you.
Yes.
Almost like verbatim.
Literally, I was like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah,
what was
because
going on in the 90s?
I was watching the movie and just to hear that scene, I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard this before.
Yep.
This was from another movie. Yes. So explain Stepmom, like
Yes.
the plot and what it means to you and why'd you pick it.
Love it. Yes. So Stepmom, I was rewatching it today actually and thinking, wow, it's kind of weird. This movie reminds me of my mom always, but I'm like, I told you that when we picked this, but it definitely warrants an explanation because it's like, how does this remind you of your mom?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we watched it. Like I must have been 5 or 6, and I loved this movie. And I love Julia Roberts, and we watched it over and over. And I love the scene with the Ain't No Mountain High Enough where they're singing and
Yes.
all together, right? So basically, just to give some background, Stepmom is about the husband and wife get divorced. And the husband goes and starts dating a woman who's younger than him and just happens to be Julia Roberts, which, come on, like the best, right? And they have 2 kids together. One kid, a 12-year-old daughter, and like I think a 7-year-old son or 6 or 7. And it's like the whole family dynamics playing out of the stepmom dynamic and what it's like, the daughter hates the new mom and all the family drama and kind of the teenage strife that comes with bringing a new person into a family, a broken family. But there's the twist of and spoiler alert, so if anybody wants to watch this, just mute right now. But the mom, who really does not like the new stepmom and kind of does everything she can to sabotage her, ends up getting diagnosed with cancer. And it becomes this really beautiful story of I almost want to say like passing over the baton, like accepting that her fate is, she's going to die, like she's not going to beat this cancer, and accepting that this person who she hated is who's going to be the mother of her children, or who's going to be there after she passes. So what I love about this movie is it's authentic, it's real. Like I think the way it plays dynamics out are so I've seen it play out in like actual real life divorces. It has some funny parts. It has parts that make you cry. And it really just, it's so authentic to, I think, how that experience of Oh, we don't have to hate each other. We may not always agree, or like one person may let the kid wear makeup and listen to Pearl Jam and the other might have a 6:30 a.m. writing lesson. But what matters is the love for the children, right? Like making sure the children feel loved. And if you can love my children, I can love you, right? So, but interesting. One side note before I turn it over to you, Frank. One of the reasons I love this movie is, as you know, my mom passed away 4 years ago, and I was very close with my mom. We were best friends. Like, you know, it was her and I pretty much. And I did have like a stepmom dynamics too with my dad's girlfriend, but very good dynamics. And after she died, we were sitting in the car, a friend of mine, and two songs came on. And it was like one of those moments where I had my phone plugged in, I unplugged it, and the radio came on.
Yeah.
And the first song that came on was "Wind Beneath My Wings," which her second, one of her favorite movies was Beaches. Which
Beaches. Yep.
We may do that movie in a future episode.
It's so that generation. My mom also loves Beaches.
Loves Beaches. So "Wind Beneath My Wings" came on, and then "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" came on.
Oh my God.
And like one after another, I'm like, oh my, I'm losing my mind.
Turn the radio off.
Totally my mom from wherever she is communicating to me like I'm the wind beneath your wings and nothing will keep me away from you.
Yeah.
To this day, every time I hear "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," I think of stepmom and I think of my mom. And so that's really that scene where they're singing together is just chef's kiss. I love it. Yeah.
So you saw this as a kid. Was it in a theater or did you watch it a lot on VHS?
We had this VHS, but I think it might have been like recorded from TV because I was rewatching it today. I'm like, I don't remember a lot of these parts. They must have been cut out for the TV version.
Yeah.
Okay. You know.
Yeah. I got you. I got what you mean because I remember some movies were like that. Like, I remember I watched The Shining through TV first and then watching it at home. Like, oh, this is what happened. Oh, this was cut. Things like that. Yep. So this was my kind of first experience with this. So in 2019, I did this project. I did a 90s version of Gone Girl. So I was doing this mashup. And I was doing a lot of research on romantic comedies because I see Gone Girl as a really twisted romantic comedy. So I wanted to do it with Harrison Ford and Julia Roberts. So I was doing all this research on Julia Roberts, movies and trailers. So I watched all these trailers of the movies she's in to see like, okay, what clips, what lines can I use from those movies? And the Stepmom trailer was perfect because I had that narrator from the director, Christopher Columbus, the director of Mrs. Doubtfire. And then it plays the "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." I'm like, this is perfect. And there's some narration, like sometimes the one you want to love is like someone who doesn't want to love you or something. It's like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I used that little clip and narration for the Gone Girl trailer because it was like spot on perfect of what I needed.
Love it.
So that was my first experience. So this was actually sitting down and watching the movie. And it was another one of those ones that are outside my wheelhouse because I'm not into the family drama.
I'm like, I'm gonna make Frank watch weird movies.
I know you're getting me into it. You're getting me out of my wheelhouse. You're letting me out of my stable. So, I watched this movie and I was like, ooh. So there's like a lot of interesting things about it. The thing that really like caught me off guard, but I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of Christopher Columbus, but it kind of is only like that one scene because everything else is normal. But like, so she wakes up, and then the camera follows her from her room. And then she goes up the stairs, and then it goes down the hall, and then it goes into the room. I was like, what? How are they doing this? But it's like some sort of like weird apartment. So like, I guess they must have had a loft. So they must have had some sort of camera jib or something. But it was so weird because she's like in a bedroom and like it follows her down the hall and then it pulls back and goes up the stairs. I was like, what is this? This is great. But that's like the only like camera move in the movie because it's mostly like normal. There's no like, other shots like that, but that caught me off guard. And hang on, let me go through my notes because I was watching the movie and was like taking notes along with it. So the thing that also shocked me, and it took me off guard, I was like, whoa, because it was, this is my first time watching it, and it's Stepmom, so you think like, it's Stepmom. I noticed there was like 5 different screenwriters. That caught me off guard. I was like, what? It took 5 people to write this. But yeah, it was an interesting story though. About the characters and Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon. I remember I was like halfway through the movie, I was like, why is this reminding me of Rocky Horror? I was like, oh yeah, Susan Sarandon was in Rocky Horror. um, and then what's the other thing? Oh yeah, the thing that really got me towards the end. I was like, oh geez, that's interesting. So all these characters have like a certain mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and they're set on that. So in the beginning, they all have their different mindsets, but they don't have a great way of expressing themselves, or they're just too blunt. Because I noticed that in the beginning, like everyone is just like assuming of
Mm-hmm.
what the other one wants or what the other one is thinking, and it's completely off. And then throughout the movie, they learn to like properly communicate, even though they really haven't changed as a person. They've sort of like shifted their view and to like adjust to the other person, which I thought was interesting. Because usually in a movie, like example, like a Iron Man or Tony Stark or whatever, in the beginning he's like really selfish, but at the end he's more giving or
Mm-hmm.
selfless. But this one was different. It was like everyone had a personality, but they didn't change like personally. It was more like they adjusted their personality a little bit, or I should say they found a better way to communicate to each other. Because of the Julia Roberts thing, I liked how throughout the whole movie she's always improvising. She's always improvising, trying to make things right, even though she's like late or messing up and doesn't know what to do, but she improvises. Like it's shown in the beginning of the movie when she's at that photo op and she shows up late, and they're all because she's
Yeah.
late, all those guys or all the models are eating off those plates, and that little funny man is there. And she gets there and she's like, all right, done. I'm out. And he's like, wait, we have models we paid here to be in this photo shoot. And he's like, no. She's like, no, I don't care. Whatever.
Yep.
Because she has other things to do or things that she has to take care of. And she basically had to improvise that. So like the whole thing, like she has to learn how to use that mindset of improvisation with the Susan Sarandon family, because the Susan Sarandon family is so scheduled. It's
Like,
like it's like clearly everything is planned, everything's on the
notes
calendar.
on the fridge.
Yes, everything's on the fridge, everything's in the calendar. It's like obvious. It's like every Tuesday, and then the last Tuesday is actually a Thursday or like a Monday or whatever. But there was hang on. Before I get to that, before I start going with Michael Rosenbaum on here, what was the other positive thing I want to say on this? Oh, nope, that's not. Let's see. Hang on. Hang on. What is it? Hang on. Oh, that was the other thing I liked at the end. There was something that reminded me of Batman Forever. It was something like I have it written from Batman Forever, but I forgot how it's said in the movie. But like she can be both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Oh yeah, it was I think it was Julia Roberts with like the little girl.
Yep.
Like she doesn't have to choose. Like you could you could be both the
Yeah.
stepmom and a friend.
Yes.
You both can be Bruce Wayne and Batman. And then what was the other thing? Oh, there was some cold-hearted shit with the characters.
They are brutal.
They were brutal. So there's the scene where they're calling around to everybody. Ed Harris doesn't answer the phone. Susan Sarandon doesn't answer the phone. Julie Roberts does, and she risks her job to go pick up the kids. She
Okay.
goes to pick up the kids, and Susan Sarandon comes in, doesn't even acknowledge her, doesn't even thank her, doesn't even look at her, and takes the kids and walks out. I was like, damn, that's cold. Like that is cold. I thought that was like stone cold, like
It's
shit.
so confusing because it's like that scene in particular is confusing because you're like each character kind of pulls at you because they're each trying to be good people at different points, and they're kind
Yeah.
of like in conflict, right? Like at that point, Julia Roberts took the rap so that her kids weren't upset with the mom and like blamed it on herself, which was so sweet.
Yeah.
And Susan Sarandon's a total asshole. And then the very next scene, or what, like 2 scenes later, where she's in the studio developing photos,
Yeah.
and Susan Sarandon comes in with an olive branch, and Julia Roberts being like, oh, just being snarky with her, like,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So it's just like, come on, can't we all get on the same wavelength here? We just can't.
It was like there's some scenes in this. I don't want to get to that quite yet. I want to say a couple more positive things before I get to the character development and what they do. Oh, the one line that I thought was really good. I was like, I like that line because it made him kind of think, but it didn't change anything. What why do you think this marriage is going to work if ours didn't? I was like, oh, damn, son. And then the other like hard, cold ass stone cold thing was the Pearl Jam thing.
Oh,
Holy
that
smokes.
hurt.
I want to take her to a Pearl Jam concert. And then Susan Sarandon does it. It's like, great idea. I was like, what the hell? That's mean.
Yeah.
That's mean. Oh, okay. So now that I think that's all the positive things. So all my things are mostly because when I was watching it, I was like thinking like as an editor and as like directing, because there's certain scenes in this where I was like, what happened there? Like in the beginning, because I've been really focusing on editing recently because I just rewatched like Jumanji and like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and like they all have like beats at certain times and moments. And I noticed with editing, like people, they must move scenes and like try to edit between that and figure out how to fill this 15 minutes before we get to the turning point. So in the beginning, I noticed there was like some editing where I was like, ooh, something's missing here. I don't know if it's like a deleted scene or what, but it's okay. So it's Julia Roberts at the photo shoot. She's supposed to be watching the kids and they want to work through lunch because she likes the lighting. And the kid's like, I want to eat. And she's like, here, go get some ice cream. So it's that shot like, yeah, we're going to eat ice cream. And then it just like cuts to the ground with the melted ice cream and the kid's sleeping. And then Julia Roberts is there saying, hey, where's Ben or whatever the kid was. And I was like, it feels like there should have been like something in between, like a transitional shot or to show that time has passed.
Right.
But it was like a harsh edit. Like what's missing here? Did they cut something out? And I found it odd that there wasn't a PA or an assistant to watch the kids. I found that weird.
That was weird.
It was like a little bit weird.
Do you think so? Just preface, right? I've never edited film, so complete layman here. But do you think like things like that could be an artistic choice to reflect the harshness of the characters? Because they're all really harsh. You know, it's not like nothing is easy. It's all very like New York.
Could be. But there's nothing really like that throughout the movie.
Okay.
That's similar to that. It just is like it needed like one shot, like maybe even just like an establishing shot or just a shot of the skyline or just a shot of the kids eating ice cream and like walking off screen and then cutting to the ice cream. Something like that. But there was like something missing, like a little transitional thing that was missing there. And then there was like some weird choices with the characters. Like I thought like Ed Harris wasn't in the movie enough.
He's like in it, not at all.
Like not at all. It's almost like they're dating each other, the Susan Sarandon and the Julia Roberts. And it's even weird at the end because I'm like, because they're like, I know they're the main characters, but like at the end, when they take that family photo, Julia Roberts should be like next to the husband. I forget where the husband is in the photo. Maybe he's in the middle with the kids. That could be it. But you would think the new wife or fiance would be next to Ed Harris, not next to the other wife. I thought that was a little weird, but I'm like, that's a creative choice because it's the movie. It's about them. Understandable. Right. Yeah. And then and Ed Harris isn't really there, and he's not really likable. And then because since he's not really likable, it makes that proposal scene come out of like nowhere because he's being all like romantic, and it's like weird because he's like 40 years older than Julia Roberts. Because he does like this romantic thing, and I'm not as someone who's watching the movie for the first time, I didn't really buy it because I'm like, he's kind of been a jerk this whole time and not really open or like emotionally there. Because the thing I found weird, because I'm a big thing with time. Like whenever time is mentioned in the movie, I'm like, okay, so because he's been dating her for a year and she's been moved in for a month, and all these conversations that should have happened months ago are happening within this movie right now, which I thought was weird. You know what I mean? And this is not the only movie to do this. There's a similar moment in The Force Awakens where what do you call it? Where it's like what's his name? Finn is the main character of Force Awakens, and he talks about how he's been part of the First Order and all that. And then later in the movie, he just says he was a janitor. It's like, well, and it was like his first battle. And he was just a janitor. Like, how did he know there were so many bad things happening if he was just a janitor? So it's like, So there was just like little things about that I noticed. And Sarah, I was wondering if you noticed, because I was watching the movie, I was like, I wonder if Sarah's going to notice. What happened to the dog?
I know the dog, like
there's a big
Great question, because he's like he's so cute. And
Yeah.
and like I also only made it like an hour. I'm gonna finish it after.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I've seen it a bunch of times
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But like the dog's in the background of a couple shots, but then you're right. Like, where was the dog at Christmas?
Yeah, because I'm like, what happened to the dog? Because like I know the little girl is lying about being allergic because she's
Yeah.
holding and like loving and to the dog, but like I'm like, where'd the dog go? Because it's such a big deal. I'm like, and that thing was like, oh god, there should have been some sort of discussion before even a dog came into the picture. Oh my lord, but yeah, there's just like that's what the movie's about. It's just about good communication, and I appreciated about that. It's like, oh, this is great. It's about having good communication throughout the movie. But like it was one of those ones. It took me out of my comfort zone to put me in this because it's like it's about the human drama, and they're doing a great job. Julia Roberts is crying. Susan Sarandon's crying.
Everybody's crying.
Everybody's crying. Oh,
I was
oh
crying.
you were crying, and then there was that line. I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally the trailer line. Don't walk out on your mom like that. No, that's your job. I was like, yes, there you go. That's the I'm Iron Man moment right there.
Yep. There is nothing more dramatic and spiteful than a teenage girl.
Yes. Oh god, like, and she like turned like on a dime, which I'm like, oh yeah, that's a kid.
Like, oh, you let me wear makeup and you showed me how to paint some leaves. I love you.
And then like the next minute, I hate you. I don't want to talk to you ever again.
Yeah, I'm not stuck. Puberty man.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. And
You
then
know, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I love what's her name? The daughter. I can't think of her name right now, but I also love her because she's in the Hunger Games. She's Joanna in the second, third, and fourth Hunger Games, and I just love it because I think that's just how she is in real life. Like she plays the same character. Like if that daughter were to grow up and like somehow be transported to Pan Am, she would be Joanna. Like just very spiteful and like, I'm gonna fuck with your minds. Like, do you remember the scene in the catching? Have you seen the second Hunger Games?
I have not seen any of the Hunger Games.
Okay, well, I know what you're watching next month then.
Oh damn. What have I done? I mean, yes, I have seen. What a mystery this is.
Yeah, what's happening? I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but she's in
don't spoil it.
third and fourth Hunger Games, and she has some pretty good scenes that are quite funny.
Yeah. Oh, what was the other thing? Hang on. I just noticed. Oh, her name's Jenna Malone, who we're talking about.
Yes.
I only know her from, let's see, Donnie Darko. I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, what else has she been in that I've seen? Oh my gosh. Oh, Inherent Vice. I did see that. And then, well, I don't think she's in it much. Oh my God, she's in Neon Demon. That's right. Oh my God, she's in Neon Demon. And she was also in Batman versus Superman. I believe
I haven't seen any of those.
Well, I know what you're watching next month. No kidding. I already have an idea for next month. But yeah, it was an interesting movie. It took me out of my wheelhouse about the family drama.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just like some like movie or Hollywood things where I was watching. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Because whenever it's a movie, I always find it funny about school plays. They always look like $1 million.
I know.
I was watching the school play. I'm like, oh my God, each costume they're wearing is probably worth like $500.
I know. I think about back to like our high school musicals and plays, and it's like I had to go and buy my own shoes because we didn't have budget. Like we were like whatever.
I know, it's like I remember in like I think it was COVID where our high school. I don't want to say our high school just in case there's weirdos watching, but our high school where they had a live stream of Winnie the Pooh, and like they're not like wearing ears or anything. They could have been. I don't think so, but they're just wearing like a red shirt and maybe like blue jeans. I don't even think they're wearing like yellow pants, but it's like, and a tree is like usually a green shirt with like brown pants. It's like, that's the budget.
That's and normal school plays.
That's a normal school play. But like all these movies like Addams Family or like The Simpsons, it's like it's so funny. It's like the 50 states, like how are the kids standing behind there with their faces in there? Like
and then they bring like they lift him into the air, like never would happen.
Never. The liability, the lawsuits, if anything went wrong. Oh my gosh. But that was a lot of fun. And that was a cute scene between Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon because they're sharing inside scoop and information that they have about the kid. and that was great. And then I also like the scene at the end where they're at the dinner table. Full on spoilers, but I think it's in the trailer. But they're saying like, I'm afraid that my daughter will forget me because you're doing such a great job. And then Julia's like, well, I'm afraid that I'll never be good enough because she'll always have you. And I was like, oh my God,
I just got chills.
this is what God wanted to be. Oh my God. But yeah, that was good. I like that. And they all had their moment to shine, which I love. It was almost like oh my God, I'm trying to think. There's like a good example of this. I'm thinking it's like wrestling, where it's like wrestling where you each have like a little moment. Like you have your own bump where you have your own move during the match. So
Yep.
in this movie, each one, like Julia Roberts has her crying scene, like several, where she's like really giving it, and it's like they're not editing or anything. They're just keeping the camera on her, and she's like crying and giving her performance. And then Susan Sarandon, she's crying, she's giving her performance.
Things off the table.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, that's right. Oh my God. So there's a thing with I watch this YouTube channel called Red Letter Media, and
Mhm.
whenever there's a character that throws things around, they're like, "Yes, trash that room up." So I was watching this movie, and then she did that. I was like, "Yes, trash your
Press
room
this
up.
room up.
Yes, do your Orson Welles, do your Zat. You just throw things around the room." I was like, "Yes, do it." Oh my gosh. But yeah, Orson Welles and Citizen Kane trashed the room, and then there's a really bad B movie from the 70s called Zat, and Zat trashes the room, and then Susan Sarandon and Stepmom, she's like wrecks the room. I was like, yes, this is great. And then what was the other thing it just popped in my mind. Maybe I have a note. Let me check my notes, my handy dandy notebook.
I need to take notes. I love this.
Yeah, so I had to take notes because there was just like these things I'm like, I'll never remember this like little thing, this little moment. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my God, like because I have lots of. I'm like, what did I mean by lots of? But there was a scene that made me laugh because I have a movie brain, so when I watch a movie, sometimes I think of another movie. So there's a scene where they're talking about how Julia Roberts is going to now marry Ed Harris, and the whole family's there, and then the kid's like, wait. Does this mean like she's gonna be our new mom or a mom, something like that? And then no, wait, it was the scene when I got them mixed up. It was the scene when Susan Sarandon finally says that she has cancer to the family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the little 13-year-old daughter who's always, changing her opinion on a dime, on a needle. The little kid's like, wait, does this mean mommy's going to die or whatever? And then the daughter, Jenna Malone, is like, it doesn't matter anymore. Julia Roberts is your mom now. It's like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Because the kid's young. He's trying to process all this. And then she pulls a Lotso bear.
Yep.
She doesn't love you anymore. And pulls the little Jack in the Box with her. It's like, oh my God. Because it reminded me of a Toy Story 3 with Lotso Bear when he gets replaced.
Yes. Oh my God, totally.
Because like the little clown's like, no, she just replaced you. She replaced all of us.
Yeah.
We gotta get out of here. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And then at the end, Ed Harris is a terrible magician because I realized how he did his thing. So he had the bird in his hand. So when he took the blanket off, there was no bird in the cage, and he says, hang on, let me try again. So he puts the blanket over, and then you can clearly see when he's doing, I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Ed Harris. I clearly see what you did here. That's amazing.
Yes.
Like, I guess they had to show that because I guess if I was filming it, I'd be like, wait a minute, we can't make it seem like we just went to Fantasyland with this movie. We gotta clearly show that Ed Harris is putting the dove in the because that would be really funny. Just the last 5 minutes of this movie where he just goes into the mythological, like, wait a minute, is there real magic in this? There's a magical thing in this world.
Magically, you don't have cancer anymore. Everything's gonna be fine, right?
Everything's gonna be fine.
There's some things that, as I was watching, I appreciated because it's been years since I've seen it.
Yes. So how long has it been since you've last seen it? That's always interesting.
I mean, if it's on TV, I'd always like turn it on. So I might have like watched bits and pieces of it, but since I've sat down and watched it, probably since I was like 10 or 12. Or
wow! So it's been a while.
Okay. But there were things I was noticing as an adult that I never did as a kid that I thought were really cute. And it was like one point in particular where Ben's making the magic potion that'll make her sleep for 1,000 years, and he's making the cocoa. And, they're in bed and he's like, aren't you going to drink your cocoa? And she's like, yeah. And she drinks it and she like has her head turned and she's like, oh, like it tastes so bad. Like, it's not made well.
Yes.
And she's like, great. And, she's just shaking. And as a kid, parents do that, right? They're going to,
they're just going to drink it.
I never noticed that, but I just kind of loved watching that as an adult and then seeing that, right?
Yeah.
It was Mike and how much Julia Roberts' character Isabel is trying, right? She's really, really trying.
And there's a cameo by one of my favorite childhood books. And I was like, oh my God, hot
yes,
damn.
Mr. Man and the Cheese or whatever.
Yes, Mr. Stinky Man.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. He came out of nowhere. The Stinky Cheese Man. I was like, yes.
Quintessential 90s.
Yes. Oh my God. From the creator of the Time Warp Trio comes the Stinky Cheese Man. Oh my God. I was like, yes, this is amazing. I love that scene too, because like he thinks he killed her.
Yeah. I killed her. I was like,
I thought it was gonna go into like something like more wild, like, oh my God, he's gonna call the police that she's dead. But that doesn't happen. I was like, oh, okay, thank God.
They just laugh. They just laugh about it.
They just laugh about it.
Normal.
Oh my God, and how Susan Sarandon just throws out the lunch.
I know. Tosses it. Savage.
Yes.
As you were talking, I was thinking about kind of, I like the way they answered those questions a bit. So when she says, how is this marriage going to be any different? And he just doesn't respond to her.
Yeah.
And then the proposal kind of answers that question, right?
Yes.
Like, and you could tell though, because I also I like to get into psychology, right? Like he is definitely more of an avoidant attachment style. He's not, like he's a lawyer. He works a lot. Like he doesn't look like somebody who really wants to confront conflict unless he really has to. Like, oh, she's about to like give you court summons. I need to go over here and address this. And then
because they even say that in that school board meeting where he's like, he doesn't even want to talk about it unless something is said.
Exactly. That's right. What was really interesting, he ignores it, but you could tell what she said. He actually went and thought about it, right? Like, there was some thought given to that of like, how is this going to be different? Like, the thing is, I think about as I was watching this as an adult, I'm like, who the fuck would want to marry this guy? Like,
I know,
he's working, you're taking care of his kids. You're like a nanny, like you're hired, like a free nanny.
It was like really bad like that, where I was like, why does she love him? There should have been like a couple, like maybe a scene or two to show that they're really connected.
Yeah. Like, it was confusing. I'm like, where's I don't see the appeal here. And it kind of feels like she falls more in love with the kids. I don't know if they're going to last on the long term, but it was interesting in that proposal scene where he's like, he talks about his first marriage, which like, who does that, right? When you're proposing,
right?
Talk about my ex-wife while I'm proposing to my new wife. But it was really interesting in that, it was just kind of like the next thing to do. We got married. We didn't work on a relationship. We didn't commit to it. The string broke, right?
Yeah.
And part of me was just like, Susan Sarandon deserves these answers, right? Like she deserves to have that question answered.
Yeah. Right? And like there were so many questions that should have been answered while they were dating, because they say they've been dating for a year. And like I found it so strange that Julia Roberts was like, no, I want to take care of the kids. And I was like, whoa, hang on. So if this is like your first interaction with her, why do you want to do that? Mm-hmm. I just thought she was like being too hands-on, too aggressive. It's during that kitchen scene where the phone keeps ringing. Mm-hmm. I felt like she was really aggressive of wanting to hang out with the kids.
When I watched that, I had this feeling for me, I think that had been an ongoing issue in their relationship. And that's why at that moment, it was like so intense. Because I think the way I read that is like throughout the relationship, I think Julia Roberts probably in this movie has more of that anxious attachment. He is more of that avoidant attachment. So like she wants to talk about it and he's like, get the F away from me. I don't want to talk about this. Right.
Yeah. Cause he seemed more horny in that scene than caring about her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that's what I got out of that scene.
And I think they probably had a lot of conversations in the past or her wanting like, how are we going to build a relationship with these kids? What is this going to look like?
Yeah.
And then he just brushed it off.
Yeah,
I really think he brushed everything off and then put Julia Roberts in this really shit place when they're living together.
Yeah.
He's like a mom all of a sudden.
And it was so weird too, because like I think a lot of their interactions is because the dad's not there, and I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Like they're really
like New York City lawyer though. Like they did. I like that they picked that profession and location for him because that is realistic for somebody who's a partner at a law firm, right?
Yeah.
You work 80 hours a week. You're not around.
Yeah. But it's just weird how like he has it all work out or something. I don't know. It was just weird. I get that maybe they needed something for him not to be there because it make it a story about the stepmom and Susan Sarandon. Oh, and there was that one scene too. where she shows up half an hour late and they missed the writing lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like, I almost said like when they started arguing and she's like, watch your fucking kids, or like she drops the F word. I was like, oh, there's the F word. They used it because in PG-13 they can only use it once. So when they use it there, when they use the F word, I'm like, okay, this is the inciting.
This was the warning moment.
Yeah, and she's like, get out of my house. And I was like, why'd she even go in the house? She should have just dropped off the kids and left. They shouldn't have no interaction. So I thought that was like a little weird because I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it was a different movie. It was a different movie for me. And it's definitely 90s. Like this is so 90s. We got like pagers going off.
Yep, beepers, big phones.
Big phones, beepers. We got sticky notes flying out the window.
The key. Oh my god, that part. But also like the chemo machine. I was just thinking, like when I watched as a kid, I'm like, wow, that's so high tech. Like chemo on your like you can wear.
Yeah.
It's also, like, I just have to. This is the death doula grief coach in me.
Yes.
I just have to like acknowledge they really did a shit job explaining cancer. Like, oh, you might have a little nausea.
Oh my god.
Some days you might be tired, but other than that, you can jog and play tennis. I'm like, nobody on chemo is jogging and playing tennis. Like, no.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't want to mention it, but now that you mention it, they did a shit job showing Susan Sarandon getting sicker and sicker.
Oh, yeah.
Like they did nothing. They did no makeup. They didn't shave her head. They didn't put a ball cap on. All they did was put like a little scarf on her head. And like, I don't think they even put anything to make her look like, sick.
What? Like what as a movie maker, like what is the decision not to do? Like,
I don't know. I think it was,
is it?
I kind of think it was her just because she's the producer on this. She's like, I ain't put on makeup. And I'm going to do it with my action figure here just to explain it. But like, so she's in the wheelchair, right? And like the only thing she does to show that she's sick and like everything else, she's normal, talking normal. She never like looks like she's faint or anything. The only part in the movie that make her look sick is when she's in the wheelchair at the airport. She's like sitting there and her leg is like all bent. Yep. It's like the only part she put any effort to looking like a cancer thing. But I agree. Like if they really hammered the cancer thing to really look like, oh my God, she's getting sicker, I think there would have been a more emotional heft. And maybe even have a scene where Julia Roberts is next to her while she's getting chemo. That would have been really great just to show her like, look, even if it's just the kids, I want to be here to support you. Like
I just don't understand why. I don't know in the past 20 years, it's been almost 50. It was made in 98. We're in 2023. Almost.
Oh, so it's like 27, almost 30 years now at this point.
Oh shit! Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting old. Anyways, so it's been all these years, and we've made a lot of progress as society, being less death phobic, like creating movies and TV that reflects the real experience of people who are sick.
Yes.
So I wonder if it might just be like in the 90s, like nobody wanted to talk about it or
that
show
it.
There aren't a lot of movies that portray it accurately, but I agree with you, Frank. I think they missed a huge opportunity because on a societal level, we learn from TV, from film, from the news, right? And that's why part of why cancer treatments and death has been there's been so much phobia around it because we don't actually know. There's no death in TV or film I've ever seen that looks like real death, the death rattle, like the things that happen at the end of life. And I think it really gives a skewed perspective to people when they're trying to decide, what do I want to do chemo? Like, is this something I want to be on? Because in the movies, like you could be doing tennis or like
Susan Sarandon just living life, just
riding a horse in the middle of these things, right?
Oh my gosh. Speaking of cancer now, I don't know if if you want to see it, like those who are watching, those at home, folks at home watching this, there is a good movie that I've seen. I just rewatched it recently because of Creed 3, but the first Creed movie, Rocky Balboa gets cancer. And I feel like that's a good example of that's what it's like. Cause it's so stark. Rocky Balboa starts vomiting and they have to shave his head. He goes to chemo. And it's just like a dull hospital, and they pick a small room, and it's like that's what it's like. Yeah. That's what it's like, and so if you ever watch it, maybe I'll find a clip on YouTube and text it to you or something. But like there's a good scene in, or I should say, like a whole sequence in Creed, the first Creed movie, where it's just where Rocky's going through chemo, and like I feel like that's a good example, and that's what's missing from this movie to give it more of like because if they wanted like awards or whatever, because like there's a lot of scenes where like you're crying, they're crying and she's crying, like I think it would have been even harder, like hit those emotional beats with like a scene where they're at a hospital together as friends. Mm-hmm. Like even that, like just have like a they didn't even do that, to have like a little like play date with each other, like let's go hang out, let's discuss this, let's talk about this. We'll have the like that could have been a great scene, like have a scene where the both the moms go out to lunch, dinner, or spend a day just to get to know each other, and then the dad's with the kids, and then the dad has to have scenes where he's talking to the kids about this relationship.
That would be nice. I think the closest they got to that, when something I liked, is that Susan Sarandon tells Julia Roberts, is the first person she tells Julia Roberts about the cancer, right?
Yeah.
It's like, for me, and this arc of their relationship, that was the turning point.
Yeah.
Right? Because first of all, like Julia Roberts noticed something was wrong with. Her ex-husband didn't notice she was tired, like not feeling well, like absent, and there's are you dating somebody? What's going on, right? And then it turns into the suspicion, and then that moment was beautiful when she says she decides to open up to her, because I think that's where the relationship starts turning. But I also agree with you. Also, on a side note, I would be a bad death doula if I didn't acknowledge some of the good things that this movie did.
Yes, acknowledge it, because I want you to do that. Talk about what you like. Talk about the things that we want to talk about.
So some of the things that I thought were really cool in showcasing the end-of-life experience were that, first of all, as much as joking, like you can't horseback riding when you're dying. Yes, go horseback riding if you feel good enough. Like if that is an accurate portrayal of somebody's end of life, like just because you're dying, it doesn't mean you're not living anymore. And like I want movies to show people still alive while they're dying, or still alive while they're sick. And if and perhaps this movie just showed the moments where she was feeling good, so we just want to acknowledge that too. Like
yes.
You do have moments of feeling good when you're on chemo. And I like that she used those moments to do things that were meaningful to her. Make memories with her children, get up at 6 a.m. and ride horses.
That was cool. Yeah, I like that.
Anna, right. I loved also the legacy work that she did, making those quilts and that cape.
Yes, that's right.
Like, legacy it's when you're dying, to give some perspective to the end of life experience. When you're dying, people feel so out of control of everything. Like they can't control the fact that they're dying or they're sick, how they're feeling, the family dynamics, all these things. But one thing that people do have control over is that legacy experience. And what do I want to leave behind? Like what memories do I want my loved ones to have with me before I go? And I thought, like, I love that, that I'm like, I wish I had that for my family. That
the quilts,
with the pictures, and the cape. And what I also liked about that from a character perspective is that it was the combining of the moms, right? Like Julia Roberts took the photos, and then Susan Sarandon made the quilt, and it was the combination of their creativity
and their love,
a symbol, right? It's that end of the movie, and it's a symbol of what they were trying to accomplish, which was like coming together in service of loving these children. So that was really cool.
And even this cardboard standouts that she did to make her happy. I thought that was nice too. That was
and let's see what else. So there's the making memories, living till the end. And I also want to just talk to, she didn't, when people get diagnosed, right, there's no right or wrong way to approach that. But I thought it was interesting that she wasn't able to share, right, that what she was going through with, and I was thinking to myself, is there anybody in her life? Does she have a friend that she told?
That's what I was just thinking too as we're discussing this, because I'm like, where are their friends? Like Julia Roberts doesn't have any friends, and neither does Susan Sarandon. They don't really talk to anybody.
Right, which is interesting.
I
want to be out of that.
The cat's had enough.
The cat's like, I'm done with you. So I just thought, I can't, going through the experience of cancer is hard enough, but doing that alone. That's hard.
Right.
It's in trying to co-parent and all these new, and like
Mm-hmm.
your ex-husband's getting engaged. It's a lot.
And yeah, it was a lot. I think that's another reason why she didn't share, is because
Mhm.
right at that time he decided, like, I'm going to marry her. It's like, oh, jeez.
And
It's like
it
right
just
at that
also
moment.
puts another like this guy is the most emotionally unaware man. Like,
Yes, he's not reading the room at all.
read the room, man. Like, she
Read the
called you
room.
to this thing, and she look at her. She doesn't look okay. Like, doesn't you're a lawyer? Like, you need to. I'm sure you have to like interpret people sometimes,
Like
right?
he, like he didn't like even notice the big giant Game Boy attached to her.
Right? Yeah, very weird.
Very
But
weird.
overall, I as
Yes.
somebody in the deaf field, I enjoy that
Hmm.
there are movies to portray dynamics
Yes.
like this because it
Yes.
helps people feel less alone in
Examples.
their
Yep.
experiences.
Because it's always good to see like examples on screen of like, oh yeah, I can relate to that, or I can relate to that emotionally and whatnot. And then there's a lot of that in this movie. It's like
Yeah.
people have gone through this, mixed families and whatnot. People have gone
And
through. That's good.
one more thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
all the different kinds of grief. Yes, love
Yes.
that. Like, I love the portrayal. Most people think of grief as like, oh, somebody died, I'm
Yeah.
grieving, right?
Yeah.
But like grief of like, I have a new my parents divorced, that's grief. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I have this new mom, like, what does that mean with my own mom? That's grief. Like, oh, my ex-husband's now with this new person, that's grief. Like,
That's
there's
great.
so many. Oh, I was a single person and now I have 2 kids, grief.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So even with good things come grief, and I think the movie did a really cool job of showing the emotional roller coaster that is that, right? It's like,
Yeah, and all those kids are dealing with. Oh, yeah.
we joked about her being up and down, but like
Yeah.
after your parents get divorced, I don't know if you ever had that experience, Frank. I did. Like, you're going through puberty and you have hormones and you're grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're gonna be kind of like up and down.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have lots of different feelings.
That's definitely true, because I did carry that baggage until about 2009, where because I think I finally talked about it. I
Right.
finally talked about it, just got it out, because I carried that with me all through like high school or whatever about my father, and
Mm-hmm.
then that finally got out. Yeah, I'm a family. I'm a child of divorce. What do you call it? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Speaking.
Now we can move on to our other very sad movie that had me
Yes,
literally crying on my flight home. I was like,
I
as
cry too.
plane.
I cry all the time with this one. Oh my gosh. So the next movie I picked is my choice, I should say. It's my choice. I picked Land Before Time because we were doing Mother's Day theme, or mothers, for the month of May. And I was like, what do I pick? What do I pick? And I was texting him like, do I pick like Psycho is a fun one? And I think there was like another choice of like maybe that one. But I was like, nah, Land Before Time. I'll talk about this because I have some stories and opinions on this one. But this is one I grew up with as a kid all the time, VHS. Loved it. Loved the movie. I love the character designs. Love it to this day. It's one of those ones I probably have to watch at least once a year. I love Land Before Time. It's not perfect. There's definitely things I was watching. I'm like, that could have. I do notice some things now that I'm older as an adult, but like, I still love it. What do you call it? It means a lot to me because I have a shelf down here that has like all the puppets from Pizza Hut. So I have a little Littlefoot, Petrie, Ducky, Sarah, all that, Sharp Tooth. There's quotes from this movie that we use in my household, like I don't understand, mother. I always use that one. And then higher like a flyer, I use that. But there's
Yep.
several. Yep. But there's tons of lines from this movie. I was trying to think. Oh yeah, that's right. He'll eat us. He'll eat us. Because whenever my mom gets over dramatic about something, I'm always, he'll eat us. He'll eat us. Because there's that scene where Sarah gets too dramatic, and he's like,
Yes.
Sarah, stop it. And she's like, he'll eat us. He'll eat us. So I quote that a lot. But yeah, I love this movie. For those who don't know, people, I don't know if there might be people who have never seen Land Before Time, but Land Before Time is basically Bambi, but with dinosaurs, where it's like the mom dies in the beginning and they have to learn about life, learn about working together as a team, growing as kids, and like dealing with like social and like racism, because they're all separated in the beginning of the movie. They're all separated and they have to work together as a team. So with that being said, I'll let Sarah talk. Sarah, tell me about the
So I also loved Land Before Time growing up. Like, and I remember the sequels. There are so many sequels. I feel like I had all the sequels.
18.
18 sequels of
Yes,
this
and a
movie?
TV show.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't see all of those, but
No.
I love. I distinctly remember as a kid loving this because, well, first of all, basic Sarah, Triceratops, loved
Yes.
that. Did not resonate with the character very much, but loved that her name was Sarah. But it was enjoyable to rewatch it to rewatch this as an adult.
Yes.
And I haven't probably seen it since I was 7 or 8, maybe 9.
Okay, so this is similar to
It,
Stepmom.
it's been a
Oh my
long
god. So
time.
is there like any memories coming back when you're watching these?
I just remember sitting in my living room watching this movie and just enjoying. I just enjoyed it. I don't know what about it. Right? Like I was rewatching, I'm like, what did I love about this? But you fall in love with, like, first of all, I was thinking while I was watching it, do they ever show baby dinosaurs ever? Like, they're cute. These little baby dinosaurs. I feel like you never really see baby dinosaurs.
There's some in Jurassic Park. There's the little baby raptor,
Yeah, but
and then
they're gross.
in the Lost World, there's a baby Stegosaurus.
Okay.
And there was going to be a baby Triceratops in the first movie, but the animatronic didn't really look good, so they didn't use it. But there's been more babies as the series has gone along with Jurassic Park.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. There should be more babies.
There should be more baby dinosaurs. They're freaking cute. So
yes.
That was great. The first thing that really struck me as I rewatched this was I love the term tree star. I forgot about that, and I love that.
You're tearing my tree star.
I need my coaching practice, tree star coaching. Like, I think that
is
cute.
Oh my god.
The symbolism of it is so poignant throughout the movie.
Yes.
Like, that was the first thing I just said that like 10 times, but I was just acknowledging how beautiful it was that, the mother found this, gave it to Littlefoot. And then they're going on this journey. She dies and you lose the tree star. But then and he lost his will to live, like kind of like went through that dark night of the soul of grief. Lost my mom. Like, I don't even remember that I'm hungry. Also very normal in grief, just aside there. I don't want to move. I forgot my purpose. Right. And then this tree star comes and and that whole scene was very Lion King-esque. So I love that, where Mufasa comes in the stars and she comes in the tree star.
Yes.
And that was the part where I started just sobbing on the plane. Cause as losing my mom.
Yep.
That's a feeling I often have, is like, I know she's here, or like she'll send me that song. Every time I hear that song, I know she's around, or she'll send me different signs, or I'll hear her laugh. And there's something so beautiful and comforting about knowing that they're here for the journey. And I like the way they personified that. And like, Petrie rolled it up and has it under his arm and like, yep, we'll keep this very safe. Yep. So I like, and I like that every time I get nervous when it would drop during like a dramatic scene, it would be like, oh my God, they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And then they do eventually, right? The
sharp tooth steps right on it and it just like explodes into pieces. Yeah.
And I thought that too was very poignant because there's a point in the grief journey, right? Like that first, after you lose somebody, that first period of time, you really are looking for those signs. Like you see your mom or your loved one in everything.
Yeah.
And my belief is that your loved one sends you those signs from the other side. And then as time goes on, it happens less, but you know that they're there still, right? Like you don't need the tangible as much to understand it. And I think that's kind of the journey that Littlefoot took. The wisdom that his mom imparted on him was follow your heart, right? Like, and that is a lot of connecting with people who've died. You have to listen to your intuition, like follow your heart. It's not going to be something you see necessarily or something that's tangible. It's going to be something you feel, a thing that's not quite there. So I really like that. And I also love the way that the movie balanced. They did a great job balancing the really dark and heavy
Yeah.
parts of grief, like Littlefoot crying, with the light parts of grief. Oh, I found a friend. Her name's Sarah. Like, we're going to fight. We're going to play. We're going to do these things, right? And it kind of oscillates between the two.
Yes.
It goes like this. And that is real. That's realistic. Yep. You know, that is a real portrayal of how grief is. And I think it's great to teach children that, because a lot of adults think that grief is just, I'm constantly depressed and doom and gloom. Yeah. And then you have a moment where you're laughing and you feel guilty for that. But it doesn't need to be that way.
Right.
It's not like, if you were just to always be in that dark state, you'd never recover, right? You need some moments like this. You need some times to laugh, or like some points to bring you up so that you can keep moving forward. So I enjoyed that in the movie, how it balanced the things. I could keep going, but I'll let you interject.
No. I want you to keep going. Keep going. Give me a couple more things. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I also, watching it as an adult, you know, it's weird. You watch things as a kid and they're teaching you these lessons and it goes right into your subconscious and you don't realize it. But then seeing it, I was like, wow, this movie is about diversity and inclusion, right? Like, there's the three horns don't talk to long necks and whatever. And it was so interesting to me, because I think this is really what happens a lot of times. The kids don't see the difference, right? Like Littlefoot wants to play with Sarah. They're playing with each other. And then Sarah's dad says, no, we don't do that. And then that becomes her reality. We don't talk to longhorns. We're too stubborn.
Three horns never play with long necks.
Yeah, yes. And long necks, like Littlefoot can't understand this. And he just doesn't, right? He tries to fight it, and then it becomes his reality. Oh, we don't, long necks don't talk to big mouths or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a child's default is to love.
Yes.
A child's default is to be human to human, and then society and fucked up adults spread their fucked upness to kids.
Yes, yes.
And I like that this movie kind of showed that dynamic, but also showed the overcoming of that dynamic and like love prevailing. And the fact that they were all dinosaurs, and this experience of climate change, and like this huge moment where the world is changing, and they couldn't get through it alone. Even though Sarah thought she couldn't. They needed all four of them to get to the leaves, right?
That's right.
and then long neck, appeals to her stomach.
Gosh,
that was so cute.
Oh, you can keep going, but I just want to squeeze in my little thought on that scene before we move on. There's a moment where I love how, because like Ducky is willing to do anything. She's such a free spirit. She's so adventurous, because there's a scene where she's holding on to Petrie. She just gives him like the biggest kiss, and then just free falls. Because she's like, come on, you could do this, Petrie. And then just falls. I was like, oh my God, I love that. But continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. I also just loved when she's running and the leaves aren't coming, just peels, and she's like, ha, I'm right. It's like, whatever. Let's just let her be right. It's just easier this way for everybody.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the other thing I was analyzing, is the archetypes of the five main characters. You have like the strong, independent, the free spirit, and trying to also pinpoint, like Longneck seemed like the kind. He was just kind, good spirited, kind of the hero complex. And then you have Spike, who is just dumb, right? But lovable, dumb and lovable. I love Spike. And Petrie,
and they represents everybody. Everyone's at different levels.
Yes,
and they include Spike. That's great.
Yes, I love Spike. And then and Petrie is the fearful part, right? But it's almost like they need all of each other to bring out the best, right? Like Petrie needed Ducky to be able to fly, and the whole team needed Spike to be able to reach the tree, right? Like they're I think that if you boil it down, you bring all this diversity and difference. Like we need everybody Everybody plays a role, right?
Yes.
We're all come together and everybody's important. And your size or constitution or type doesn't diminish your purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that too. And it was just I was happy that I couldn't remember, but that he did get to reunite with his grandparents, because I'm like, that'd be so shit if he loses everybody, right? Nobody needs an orphan.
I know, right? Holy smokes. Because that happens hard too. He's all by himself.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I really enjoyed rewatching it. Yeah. It was also just fun to see from a film perspective how far animation has come, right?
You know what I liked about the animation is scale. Because throughout the whole movie, like, they could play with that camera. Because like little Petrie's like probably this big, but they make him look big because it's hand-drawn animation, so they can do that. Because I think that would be harder to do if they were all like CGI creatures. Ooh. Or if it was like live action. Because I loved the use of scale, because like they show Littlefoot's mom and she looks bigger than life. She can't even fit in the frame. She has to like turn her head and it goes off frame, and then it goes into him.
I love
saying
that.
Like hello. Yep. And then like even like the Rex like coming towards the screen, and like there's a perspective of like I think they're trying to push the rock and he's like looking up at them. But it was like all these different perspectives to show them how they're different sizes. Because I remember, like, I think towards the end, it's kind of funny because they show like this wide shot, and like Petrie and like Ducky are like this big, but like the other ones are pretty big. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I loved about this animation. Sure, it's moved along, but I feel like the hand-drawn animation really works well with this, because it plays with scope. It plays with different perspectives and like the size of all these dinosaurs, which I really appreciated.
I didn't notice that, but I like, and even thinking about how that plays into the story, right?
Because it shows like Petrie, when he gets brave, he takes it to full screen.
Yeah.
Even though he, in like reality, he'd be like this big, but he gets brave and he's like, I'm a flyer.
Yes, yeah. I'm a flyer. And oh, that is interesting. And also just the juxtaposition of how big the parent, like, I like what you said, large, she's larger than life, and it literally, that's the point of the story. Like, she's bigger than this life because she's moved on to the next, and she's still there, right?
And he's always like looking up at her, and like she's a huge presence in his life. Because I'm just thinking about that now, because like he's so small in the frame, and like her body's there and her legs are there, and like her head like has to get out of the frame and then get back in there. Like, no, answers this question or whatever. But I was like, yeah, that's great. That's good stuff. And then, just because of the danger as well. You did mention it, that they're in peril. Apparently there was like 30 minutes cut from this movie because Spielberg and Lucas were like, this is too scary. We got to cut some scenes. So they cut like 30 minutes, and you can kind of tell there's like a huge continuity error, or like, or what the hell's going on here? But like at the end, when they're trying to push the boulder over, it cuts to Sarah dealing with these three, dome head dinosaurs. It's Pachycephalosaurus or whatever. It's the dome head guys.
Yep.
But like I'm like, what's going on here? So there must have been a scene that introduces those characters messing with her, because we just cut to them messing with her, and she has to fight a deal with them and then go help her friends. Oh God, that's so great too, how they're like having trouble. And it's almost like, oh no, what do we do? And then she pulls a Han Solo, I'm coming, and then boom, hits the rock over the cliff. That's so great. There's so many wonderful moments in this.
I was thinking, I'm like, how was I not afraid of especially that T-Rex scene? Like, how was I not afraid of this as a kid? This is scary.
Yeah, it's frightening, and like that thing. Oh man, because he's just so scary, and like you can smell them out, and then there's that scene where you think he's dead, and his eye opens up, and it just opens. That's a terrifying visual. I remember that as a kid. I was like, oh geez, he's still alive. He's not dead.
My movie, you have your Toy Story movie moment. My movie moment.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
With the T-Rex was seeing the T-Rex from Rugrats movie.
Oh my God, yeah, it does look like a reptile. That's right. Oh my God.
And I was like, whoa.
And he's got kangaroo legs in this. I never noticed how many times that Rex jumps.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He's got like kangaroo, like I was like, oh my God. Okay, so there's a funny story, and it kind of made me sad, because this is for those out there that watching this. This is one where I think I won't be able to watch if my mom passes away. Like, I really don't think I'll be able to watch this ever again after she goes. Because there's a scene that reminded me of real life. So in real life, my mom, like if I can't answer the phone, she'll leave a message. She'll leave a story on my answering machine. So I'm at work and I am unable to do it because I'm on my job, on the job. So she leaves a message. So I answer the phone and she leaves messages as if you're talking to her.
Oh.
She'll leave pauses in there like for a response. So when I, dialed it in, I completely forgot that it was a message machine and I was answering her, but she wasn't answering back. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's a message machine. And then I instantly cried because it reminded me of that scene in this movie when freaking Littlefoot is like, mother, mother. And he thinks it's his mom, but it's just his shadow on the wall. Because the closer he gets, the smaller the shadow gets. And he just realizes he's talking to himself. And I was just like, oh my God. So knowing that, because she's fully alive right now. If I got emotional on the phone with just that little simple answer machine, it's like, I won't be able to watch this movie. It'll be a complete wreck just because, oh my God. Because I always, I just watched it today and I was in an emotional wreck, but it was the scene when she's giving her, her death speech where she's like, I'll always be with you. You'll always see me. Or even when you won't be able to see me. And when he says, what do you mean when I can't see you? I'll always see you. And I was like, oh my God, Littlefoot, why do you do this to me?
That was the part where that was the moment where I was like,
every time, Littlefoot, Jesus, I've watched this movie so many times. Oh my gosh. And that part always gets me. But yeah, this one's special to me where I'm like, nope, I won't be able to watch it. I'll have to retire if she passes away. And like, there's no way I'll get through this.
Understandable. That part, I also want to add what I loved about that scene and other mannerisms in the dinosaurs is they reminded me a lot of dogs. Because you notice when he runs up to his mom, his tail's wagging and he's licking his mom. And I never thought of a dinosaur acting like that.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was so cute when they get excited and their little tail wags. And that's exactly what my dog does when she gets excited to see me.
Oh my gosh. I love the character designs too, because they all have specific looks and they're all really sweet looking. Baby Littlefoot is just adorable.
Oh, when he curls up in his mom's
little back, yeah. Oh my gosh. And when he rolls out of his egg and he's just like, oh. I was like, oh my God. And then little Ducky, oh my gosh, and like she's different from her brothers and sisters because she's got blue eyes. I was like, oh, I like that. It shows her that.
I also love the fat Ducky. Difference. Did you see the fat Ducky at the end? He's damn cute.
Yeah, I missed the fat Ducky.
The fat Ducky is so cute.
Oh my gosh. I like the use of color too. It really dictated the the mood of each scene. Because it was like bright orange. It was almost like abstract where it was just like orange. It wasn't like really anything. It wasn't like jungle or anything. It was orange. Another thing that CGI wouldn't be able to do. Like, sure, they could, but like it was abstract. Like the background's like orange or green or blue with some hints of like trees or whatever in the background. But I did like that as well, where it was like, that's cool. I like that. But the character design, I also like the music. The music, oh my God, that theme. It's by James Horner. And if you don't know this, so Sarah, after this, you'll always hear it. But whenever you watch a James Horner movie, you'll hear the da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun. So if you watch like freaking one of his last scores, which was The Magnificent Seven with Denzel, you'll hear that da-da-da-dun. And if you watch Titanic, like there's the theme, but every once in a while you'll hear the da-da-da-dun. So in this movie, it's the da-da-da-dun. So there's James Horner. That's his little tick. That's his calling card. So whenever you watch a movie with him, you'll hear that.
I might go back and re-listen just to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's during the part when when they're in like the tar pit. It's like when they're all getting stuck in that music's like and they have to get out of it. Yeah, I think that's where the music is, or maybe towards the end when they're fighting the Rex. But I did notice that. I was like, oh my God, he has his calling card in this. That's great. I love that.
I like when I feel this, you always know when you hear a Lin-Manuel song. I don't know if you've gotten to like Hamilton or like Moana, or any of the new Disney, you are always, I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that it's like, this is a Lin-Manuel Miranda song.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me go to my notes because I did have simple ones. I like the simple story because you could focus on the emotion more of the characters. I did like that.
It's a very traditional hero's journey, and I thought even where the part that I really loved was at the right after his mom dies and he finds the wise dinosaur. I'm like, that's
Rooter, yep,
really
Rooter.
like verbatim, like, you know, goes on the journey, finds the wise dinosaur, and he goes on to the next thing, right?
What's wrong with you? You're not hurt. Mother.
And he's like,
Oh,
oh.
I see. The great circle of life has begun.
Yes.
That
Yes.
voice is the guy of Commissioner Gordon from Batman '89. So I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Batman 80. Oh, actually, all the Schumacher movies. I think he was Gordon in all of them. So in Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Batman Returns, that's Gordon's voice. Oh yeah, the other voice was Ducky. She's kind of famous. She was in Jaws 4. She died tragically young, but so she always lived forever in this movie, which I love. Whenever actors can do that, yep, as Ducky.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Let's see. Oh yeah, I also like the world where they don't use like realistic terms; they use their terms.
The brights or
the bright circle in the sky when it hits the ground. That's when we go. I was like, yes, that's good stuff. That's good stuff because they wouldn't know like, oh yeah, when the sun's in the sky when it hits the ground. They don't know sun. They just know it's around.
Really, the tree star.
Tree star. Another. I like all these terms. Tree star, sharp tooth. They call everything what it is.
Flat head, round, big mouth.
Yeah. And then I think that's about it. I said everything else. James Horner, color, scale and size and angles, and then designs and feeling. So that's good. I like that. That's good stuff.
Is there anything about this movie that you would have done differently?
Would have done differently.
If you were making it in 1988 and like had the technology available to you.
If we had the technology now back then?
No, like
back then. Okay.
You get in the time machine, go to 1988, and you could remake this movie. What would you do differently?
Let's see. If I could change anything. I don't know. That's tough because it's like one of those ones where I've seen so many times and it feels perfect. Like if I knew what the deleted scenes were, maybe I'd figure out like how to make those work and keep them in because I do feel like it's a little too short. It's only like an hour long because like the credits are usually like 4 or 5 minutes. So this is basically like 69 minutes. So it's only an hour. So I feel like they could have added something there. I'm glad that there's no songs in it because the sequels and all that takes care of that. But I like that there's no songs in it. Like that they sing along, you know what I mean? Yeah. They don't break into song. It's all like real emotion and them dealing with their issues. Other than that, I don't know. I don't think I'd change much. Cause I don't know. Cause like I know it's one of those ones like I don't know. It seems perfect. Like why would you want to put a mustache on the Mona Lisa? I don't know why.
I love that. No, that's a great answer.
Yeah. I don't know. Would you change anything? You're watching it as an adult, full grown Sarah Miller watching Land Before Time. What would you change if you could change anything?
Let's see. I feel this. I feel the same way. The lens that I look at these things with is more of like that human emotion element, like the grief, the attachment theory, of the psychology element. And I love movies that for kids, especially that break down really hard things in life. And I mean, every Disney, every cartoon basically does that for kids.
Yeah, but I don't feel like this one sugarcoats it as a lot.
No, that's what I like about it because kids experience grief a lot differently than adults. It's oftentimes people don't think kids grieve because it shows up a lot later, or like it doesn't show up the way it does for adults. It can be in like hyperactivity or like what we may deem as like misbehaving or things like this. So I like movies, especially, and then I think about it in the 80s, right? In the 90s, there were like mental health wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool to have a movie that helps kids who have gone through the loss of a parent like see themselves on screen, right?
Yeah.
See that play out in different contexts and ways. So for that, I think it's perfect. I really do.
Yeah, because it has like the right amount of characters for this. So I don't think that they should have met anyone else. I don't think, or maybe they could find somebody who like tries to help but doesn't help them, and they realize they can't go that way. Something that could have been interesting.
The other thing that's cool is it shows 5 different reactions to grief, right? Fear, hyperindependence, laziness, eating everything, right? It's like Littlefoot kind of more of that emotional reaction, and then you have Ducky, who is the optimist, like eternally positive, like nothing's even wrong, and there's no right or wrong way to grieve. I say this, I will always say it, I will drop dead saying it. But it's cool because they're all, not all of them lost their parents, but they did, like, to death, but they lost their parents.
Yeah,
right?
they all lost
their parents. They're alive. They don't know.
Spike, I don't think Spike's parents made it.
Right. Spike's parents are alive, and Ducky's parents, that was so cute. Ducky adopts Spike. But I thought that was cool, showing the different reactions, especially the hyper independence. Like, I think that is a very common reaction for the eldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes eldest son, in a dynamic where you lose a parent, they become the caregiver. Like like if the father dies, the oldest son; if the mother dies, the oldest daughter. Like, they become the woman of the house or the man of the house, and they go into the hyper independence role. And just showing that even in, like, that simple act of Longneck throwing the leaves to Sarah, like, you need help sometimes. You can't always be independent. You're gonna get cold if you sleep outside by yourself,
Yeah.
So I like showing that progression as well.
Yeah. I was just gonna think, like, maybe there should have been a brother character or a brother or sister character, but maybe that would have been too much.
Yeah. Maybe. But you kind of have, like, that non-traditional.
Yeah, because you just said that, like, an older brother takes over, so maybe that would have been like, oh geez, I have to take over. But it's kind of, he has to become the leader anyway, because he's, in the beginning, he's sort of shy and avoiding trouble, but towards the end, he becomes a leader. Like, we're going to go this way.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's other underlining meanings, because it's almost like, sort of like the Ten Commandments. Like, there's a promised land. I promise you we're going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm sure there's other things too that we're missing out of this. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I liked it. So before we head out, is there anything more to say about either of these movies? Like Stepmom, do you have like any suggestions, or would you change anything about Stepmom?
Oh, Stepmom. Well, now that you pointed out all the inconsistency, I'm like, we should address this. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I would have I think with Stepmom, what you said about, like, I would have loved to see that let's go out for lunch, or kind of a little more growth there. I would have liked the Ed, what's his name?
Ed Harris, yeah.
Ed Harris to be a little more likable, or like have some redeeming qualities of some sort, right? It felt flat. His character was flat.
Yeah. Like show the reason why they fell in love with him.
Right, exactly. And why his kids adored him. Like, he's never there,
Yeah.
But I think we talked about it already, but I would have liked a little more realistic portrayal of dying and end of life, right? Mm-hmm. But I think other than that, the movie does a great job at showing the dynamics, like and at showcasing, like, nobody's ever right, like each person has their reaction is valid, right? So whose side are you on? Sometimes you're on Julia Roberts, sometimes it's Susan Sarandon, sometimes it's Jenna Malone, right? It's like, and that was the other thing, like that female triangle, right? Because you have Ed Harris and the son, and they're kind of, Ben is so cute. Like, you love him, you fall in love with him. He's so sweet.
I'll hate her if you want me to.
Yeah. I was like,
she's messing him up. No.
The mother-daughter, I like that triangle.
Yes.
The stepmother, the female triangle is very interesting. So that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. How about you?
What I would change? Oh, I like all the things that I mentioned. Yeah. And then there would have been a PA on that set. I'm just saying, there would have been a PA on that set.
This is not realistic.
This is not realistic. I've seen Devil Wears Prada. There were so many people on that set when they're taking photos.
That's so true.
Oh my gosh, there would have been a Nigel there. Gird your loins. Oh,
Nigel would have been doing whatever, like.
Yeah, and then he would be like, if Julia Roberts quits, and then he would be like, I quit too, and then go with Julia Roberts, and they start their own photo company.
Totally. Yes. What about, there was a PA, that guy who I remember, the one.
Yeah, I know, he was just standing next to her. Like, he just said what she said louder. Why didn't he do it? Like, why just go get him some ice cream?
What are you doing, man?
What are they doing? What are they doing? But yeah, those would be the things. But I enjoyed it. It's good. I would recommend it for those who want to watch like a Julia Roberts thing, or if you want to watch like a family drama. That is perfect. Go watch that. There's some good examples. I do like this. I like the set design and all that. in that movie. That is great.
Want that apartment and that house
Yeah.
at the same time. It was very
That house was huge.
right.
Oh my God, when I saw them, like, what did they do for their living? But I'm like, okay, he's a lawyer, so
New
she
York
got
City
that. She got that money. Yeah.
That was not, I like the consistency. Like you could tell, like he's in New York City, you know, it matches up for his salary and what he'd be doing, right?
Yeah, yeah, because like he was like, single for a living, and then they're
It's not
finally
like
getting
he's
together.
a journalist and they have these two beautiful homes in New York City, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and the technology, the beeper, I love it.
I know.
Yeah.
We have a couple comments.
I see that. Let's go to the comments. We have
which I just figured out today how to see the comments. So
okay. We have Slasher Fred. Land Before Time is such a timeless classic. I agree. I would agree. It's one of those ones that really do hold up from the 80s, because there's some movies that don't hold up, but I think this one does. And I think it's because like they do it straight. They treat everything serious, and they do a good job at that. Would you agree? What would you say?
I agree. I'm with you. Yes. Slasher Fred.
Yes. Mystery Sauce. What has been your favorite movie of the year so far?
Ooh.
Have you seen any new movies?
I have. I know exactly what movie it is.
Oh my God, what is it?
So it's a Man Called Otto.
Oh, the Tom Hanks movie.
I read the book many years ago, fell in love with the book. But the reason I love it is my one of my mentor also passed away this year in January, and he reminds me so much of Tom Hanks. And it was so cathartic to watch that movie because I just sobbed. I'm like, I needed this. Like I just cried the whole way through, and it felt so good.
Yeah.
And also, how do you just not love Tom Hanks as like a grumpy old man, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
I was thinking like, maybe I'll make that our next movie.
My mom saw it. She liked it. She enjoyed it.
How about you, Frank?
Let's see. My favorite movie of this year? It's funny. Okay, so I have like, I think it's a tie because they're both different moods, but it's a tie. I'll go start with the most recent one, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Awesome. I loved it. Love Guardians of the Galaxy 3. There's so much dynamics going on. They're wrapping up all these characters. And like, I'm going to say it, these are like the only characters in the MCU have actually grown as characters because everyone else kind of resets. They're almost like sitcom characters where they just reset. They're always the same. But the Guardians have grown throughout the movies, such as like Nebula and Quill and not so much Drax. Drax is still stupid. But like specifically Nebula and Quill and even Gamora to a certain extent because she's a different character now. And that was great. And that's them dealing with loss of Gamora where it's not her anymore. And like he has to get over her and, you know, move on with his life and find something, you know, because there's people who love him and he needs to go there and deal with that, like his past, because spoilers, he goes back to Earth at the end to see his family. Oh, sorry. I know you haven't seen it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Damn it. I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. But anyway. Oh, geez. Hang on. Don't worry.
I love that. Oh my God.
I'll be right back.
Picture. Okay.
Oh, it's my favorite moment from that interview. It's because oh, wait, hang on. Let me get back on camera so I could explain that properly because I want to use my hands. Hang on. Let's see. Does it go back? Start cam. There we go. Boom. Yeah. So this is my webcam. So my battery operated one just passed out. So the reason why I have that image is because that's the infamous Matt Lauer interview he did. And he talked about like mental illness and like pills or whatever. And like, that's the moment where he goes like into a great white shark. Cause before that he's like friendly Tom Cruise. But then like in that interview, he just like slowly goes into the, like his mindset of like pills and like self-care and all that. And it's like a completely different guy. And I love that moment. I don't know if you ever watch it. But yeah, check it out. It's the Matt Lauer interview during War of the Worlds because he's promoting it. And then Matt Lauer, some reason, brings up Ritalin and Brooke Shields. And then just Tom Cruise just like switches over.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, geez, they unlocked him.
You remember that Tom Cruise is like a Scientologist, right?
Yes, that's what comes in because he's like, she doesn't need pills. All she needs is like, she needs to take care of herself, self-care, do this and that and the other. You just have to work on your levels and balance. And he's like, do you even know what Ritalin is? And like Matt Lauer can't answer any of Tom Cruise's question. And like Tom Cruise is like giving him facts or whatever he's read. I don't know if it's true or not, but like he's giving him all these things. I was like, oh my God. But like, that's the moment. That image is like when he switched over. I was like, oh. But I love it. was the other? Oh yeah, so the tie.
Yep.
The other movie I do like because it's just, oh my god, it's perfect. Scream 6. I love Scream 6.
You would. I love the chef's kiss that went before it. Oh, it's just so perfect.
It's perfect, and it's so funny too because I always like. I don't know if I could recommend it to people who aren't fans because it's like a love letter to the entire series. Like almost every line of dialogue or every like scene has a reference to the entire series. Because someone was like, "Oh, I want to see it tonight, but I haven't seen any of them." I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it. I don't know how you're gonna feel, but I loved it. I love Scream. Let's go to the last comment here, though. One more comment. My mother just beat cancer for the second time, so I totally agree.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. So, Sarah.
Yes.
Next month is June.
Yes.
And what are you picking for June?
Okay. Well, okay. Are we going to go theme like Father's Day theme, or are we going to go like we just discussed 2 new movies that we both like that we each other haven't seen? What's like? I'm open. What are we thinking?
That's what I'm waiting for. So the one I have in mind, is school's coming to an end in June. So the one I want to pick, but we could discuss it. We can switch the theme if you want. But the one I'm thinking is Dazed and Confused.
Oh, I have not. I don't know if I've seen that. I don't think I have.
Really? Okay, I like that one. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's like, I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't think about that movie.
Ooh, okay.
I love that movie. Because it's one of those ones where, like, whenever I mention, my mom's like, "Yeah, you like that movie," because like there's movies where I'll mention it like a lot, and that's one of them. And she's like, "Yeah, that's right, you like that movie. You like Dazed and Confused," but like, because she's never seen it, so whenever I talk about it, she's like, "Yeah, that's right, you like Dazed and Confused."
Okay.
But yeah, but I like that movie. It's about the last day of high school, and you just watch all these like different storylines. It's more like it's like a life in the day of this high school, this class. But I like
love
that.
it.
So what's you want to do that? Okay, so you want to do school or just what's your theme? Do you want to do a different theme?
I'm thinking there could be a couple. I'm not sure I'll have a decision today, but it could either go like last day of high school, last day of high school themed, or I'm thinking it could go like day in the life theme kind of thing.
Or you could just do whatever theme you want because we could have like opposing things. You could do like LGBTQ. You could do dinosaurs because it's also Jurassic June. That's a thing. You could do what do you call it? Flag Day. I know that's a holiday coming up. Father's Day. So you could go all those themes, and we could have like clashing themes. But it's June.
I like that. Okay, June theme.
Yeah.
My mind is like hyper focused on A Man Called Otto now because I really want to just make you keep crying over and over again every month.
I need my pain. Don't make me cry. I need my pain.
I'm like, I will make you cry.
Oh my god!
So I think right now that's my tentative choice is
okay.
Man Called Otto.
I'm gonna write that down.
So good. I also just genuinely want to watch it again.
A Man Named Otto.
Yes. And then Dazed. That's gonna be a funny mashup. I'm actually quite excited because it's like totally different. Like
yes. Oh my god. Yeah, they're.
It'll be fun to find the connections on 2 totally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, let's get to that. So what are the connections that you notice between 2 movies? Let's
try to get to. Come on, this was an easy month, right? Everybody's dying. They're all moms.
Everyone's dying. They're all moms.
We'll always be with you. I'm gonna find you in Dreamland, right? Like I'll.
Oh my god, Dreamland! Oh my gosh.
Oh, that moment when she realizes she's dying and like, forgets that she's in Dreamland. Yeah, that one. But there's that huge. This month was like softball, like the grieving, losing the mom, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
How about you? Okay. Do you see anything different?
Anything different? I'm trying to think. I don't believe so. Yeah, the only thing that like stands because I was trying to think like trying to see things in the background of Stepmom because it's sort of like a time capsule or whatever. But no, I don't think I've seen anything. I did like because I was talking about the set design earlier. I did like the Halloween, that one shot of Halloween where they're walking down the street.
Yes, and she's Elvis, and
yes, yeah, that was great.
He's the bunny coming out of the magician's hat.
Yes,
that was good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Love it.
But yeah, okay. So when's the next episode? When should we plan?
Let's I'm pretty sure my whole next month is like open.
Oh, okay. So keep it to like the normal schedule, 18th or 25th. What you want to do?
June 18th. Let's do the 18th.
18th. Okay. June 18th.
That'd actually be perfect because my friend's celebration of life is that following Friday, so I can be all cathartic before.
Yes. Oh, okay, so you could watch The Man Named Otto, get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. My goal is just to make you cry, Frank, every week.
I'm gonna make you cry.
We're gonna make you cry.
Don't make me cry. Stop it. Don't make me cry. But I think you'll like mine because it was a bunch of.
I also love Matthew McConaughey.
I was just gonna say that's his first movie.
Yeah,
yes, where it came from. All right.
We could. I was like, there's also Wedding Crashers. You've seen that, right?
It's been years, but I have seen it. Yes.
Yeah, the sailboat on Wedding Crashers is actually based in Annapolis, Maryland, and I've been on it twice.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember the boat. It's been a long time. I don't think I've seen it since maybe 2006.
Oh, it's a good one. That's a movie. That's one of my rotation, like mindless movies.
Yes. Like I had the only way I watched it was on my little PSP, the little PlayStation Portable.
That's funny.
So that was the only way I watched it, and that's why I haven't seen it since because I only have a copy on that, like the little disc.
Oh my
that
gosh.
went into that player. Oh my gosh.
Love it. Well, I'm so happy you're back. I know I missed the first 15 minutes, but I just want to say I'm so happy that you're back and we're here today and just happy we're here.
Yes. And for those, I want to finish my story because I realized as I was telling a story before you showed up, I was like, ooh. So there was a recap because you weren't here.
Yeah.
So there was a tweet going on that's going viral, and you how you respond to the tweet, like say it's like, oh, what's your favorite color, and everyone's like, oh, this is mine, or what's your favorite screen grab, post it. So this one is, what's the nicest celebrity you've ever met, and which is the rudest celebrity you ever met? So mine was Leah Thompson from Back to the Future. I met her at a fan expo. She was beautiful. She was great. She treated me so nicely because I made a day of it. So the first thing I did was go get her signature. Told her how much I liked the movie and loved her. She was beautiful, great, wonderful, and she shook my hand. And then I went to the Q&A. I asked her my question at the Q&A at her speech thing. And then later that day we did a photo op. She recognized me at all the different things. So I was like, oh, that's great. So she's wonderful. Love Leah Thompson from Back to the Future. The rudest, I didn't say it before because I had cut off, but the rudest was Edgar Wright, the director of Scott Pilgrim, Hot Fuzz, all those movies, Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho, Shaun of the Dead. He directed all those movies. He was rude. The thing that was rude is because when I watch movies, I'm a laugher. So if there's something I enjoy, I laugh.
Laugh.
Yeah, I know. That's what I do. He mocked my laugh. And I became very self-conscious of it while watching the movie. So I didn't laugh during the movie, but he laughed. Because it was at the New Beverly Cinema. So that's like the Tarantino theater. So it's Quentin Tarantino's back there. Edgar Wright brought his date. It was Andrew Kendrick. So he mocked me. He mocked my laugh because I laughed and he went, ha, and they did my laugh. I was like, oh, geez, that's Edgar Wright, clearly. And then, yeah. So I was like, fuck that guy. And then there was a Scott Pilgrim signing. So I got all my, I got my magazine signed, and I noticed afterwards he signed his name wrong. He forgot an I in his name, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because it was signed by all these actors, and then it was him, the big one, and he signed his name. I'm like, "Oh my god, you ruined my item!" And then the third one, I don't really blame him for this one because it was just bad booking, and I don't think he knew, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But there was this event where they are doing onstage Q&A, and then afterwards, they had everyone in the audience line up, whoever had a question, and have a one-on-one with him to talk to him. And I was like, this is a great experience, but I was like, I don't think he was expecting it. And I think he was traveling because this was right on time where he's going around promoting his movie. So he was just not in it. He was tired. So when I asked him this question, he was just not interested. I don't fully blame him for that, but the other ones, that's totally on him. So
totally.
I tweeted this, Rudis. He followed me on Twitter.
Oh my god. You have a total frenemy.
I think he's doing it to be a dick, but he followed me today because he saw the tweet and then he followed me. He has not said anything.
You think he remembers you?
No, because I on Twitter I have that profile of Tom Cruise, and I really don't really say my name or anything like that on Twitter. But yeah, no, there's no way. I don't think he'd remember me. And I just thought, like, what the hell? He follows me on Twitter now.
That's
What a
so weird and crazy. And I hope that there's a follow-up story next month about how he's interacted with you.
I hope so, because I just find it weird, because that means not only, like, that tells me he clicked on that original tweet. Whoever said they started it went through the quote tweets, looked for him, and then followed me.
That's so weird.
I know, right? That means he's self-conscious of himself, and he's on Twitter looking at people who don't like him.
Well,
And
generally, people who like make fun of other people's laugh are projecting their own self-doubt,
yeah,
self-consciousness onto other people. So I
yeah.
would say that tracks.
Oh my god! But I was like, what the hell? But yeah, he followed me today. I'm like, that's messed up. But yeah, I didn't finish that story. That was what I was talking about. I'm like, oh my god, Sarah just texted me, so I wasn't able to finish.
I love the cliffhanger. We should, like, if you want to hear the end.
Yeah, if you want to hear the end, please flip the tape over when you hear this sound.
Love it.
But yes, so thank you for everyone who watched today. Slasher Fred,
Thank you.
Mystery Sauce, thank you. And Sarah, was great watching this movie. What do you call it? Julia Roberts, a big fan. Oh yeah, showing how much I'm a big fan I am. Did you ever see the movie Pretty Woman?
Oh, come on. I love that.
I made a custom Julia Roberts.
I love it.
Character. Yes.
That is awesome.
I love that movie so much.
That is a very common repeat movie. Like, I will watch that.
That's one I at least have to watch every couple of years, if not like every year. But like, I love that movie. It works so well. I love the "What's your dream? What's your dream?" We should watch that for the show.
We should. 181 inches of therapy wrapped around you for the budget price of $5,000.
It's like, I don't treat you like a hooker. You just did. Aww. And she kisses him right back.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's good. There's even like a brief. No, it's Hank Azaria. I thought it was Jeff Goldblum. There's a brief Hank Azaria cameo in that, which is just so weird.
I don't know who that is, but
Hank Azaria is the voice on The Simpsons who played Moe and Apu and all that.
That's weird.
Did you ever see Birdcage?
Yeah, with Nathan
Robin
Lane.
Williams and Nathan Lane. Yeah, he's the Hispanic assistant who's always like wearing like no clothes, and then he has to dress like a butler and keep slipping on his shoes. That's Hank Azaria. He has like a small cameo before he was anybody in Pretty Woman.
I love things like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we'll add that to our list.
Yes.
And next month, Dazed and Confused and a man named Otto. I'm very excited.
Yes. Oh my God, Tom Hanks. This is exciting.
Tom Hanks is a good one.
Yes. I just rewatched Forrest Gump, so I'm in the mood. Give me some Hanks.
The best.
It's so good. So good. Okay, gonna end broadcast. Talk to you later. See you guys next week. I'll be back next week to unbox the Guardians of the Galaxy, whoever's watching. Boom, boom. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. And bye.